Alright, what's going on, everybody? What's going on, YouTube? If you are coming back again, thank you once again for tuning back into this Team Scat Cat channel. If you are a brand new customer, please check out my new viewers playlist, and please like, browse, and subscribe, and check out the rest of the videos that are going on the Team Scat Cat channel. So today will obviously be a continuance of last weekend's video, which covered the 5 best things. I'm gonna drop my keys. The 5 best things, or the 5 things that I love about owning a Charger Hellcat. Obviously, now we get to the juicy part. This weekend, we're gonna cover the 5 things that are the worst, or the 5 things that I hate about a Dodge Charger Hellcat. So obviously, we already got the Hellcat started, so let's just go ahead, jump on in, and let's get into this discussion. One more time, again, these are just my personal preferences for the 5 worst things about a Dodge Charger Hellcat. Obviously, everybody's got their own opinions on their own channels, whether they've reviewed, own, or have rented a Charger or a Challenger Hellcat in that point. But obviously, these are my opinion, but I'm sure that 1 or 2 of the things on the list will make your guys' list as well, if you have one, that is. All right, and obviously one more disclaimer. When we talk about the word hate, especially when it comes to this beautiful 2018 Charger Hellcat, when it comes to the word hate, there's not really a lot of things that I hate legitimately about this car. I actually can't say I hate anything about this car, really. I mean, 3,000, almost 3,100 miles on it right now. In that time, I can't say I really hated anything about this car. So take everything on this list of the 5 things that I hate about a Dodge Charger Hellcat with a grain of salt, really. I mean, overall, you guys know how I feel about it from the 5 things I love video. It's a great car. I mean, it's a great daily driver. It's a great all-rounder. But these are obviously just the quirks of a 2018 Dodge Charger Hellcat. All right, so thing number 5 on the list of 5 things that I hate about a Dodge Charger Hellcat is a pretty obvious one, and I'm assuming it would be on a lot of people's lists. That's got to be fuel consumption. Now, granted, you're probably going to hear me mention this a lot as I reference my last video about the 5 things that I love about it. When, in all honesty, excuse me, in all honesty, this Hellcat does in fact get better fuel consumption out of it daily driving than my Challenger Scat Pack did. As I said before, I felt the need to, drive my Challenger Scat Pack a little bit harder. It was also a 6-speed, so it was a little bit easier to bang through the gears and go all the way to the rev range, whereas obviously an automatic in the Charger, which it only comes in, doesn't allow you to do that. So obviously it's made for a little bit better fuel consumption. But the reason that this makes number 5 on my list is obviously it's a big honking V8. It's all American. It's spitting bald eagles out the tailpipes. But when you want it to do all of those things, your gas meter can go down very quickly. I'll even go so far as to mention one of my previous videos where I was getting this car detailed, and when the detailing company was on the inside of the car, they had it running, and they left the air conditioning on as they did, their quick interior detail. And the car wasn't on empty, but it certainly wasn't full either. My plan that day was to fill up the car after I'd gotten it detailed. Well, funny story for me, like I said, if you guys haven't seen that video, go back and check out that video, or at least the intro of that video, so you can hear the full story. But in a nutshell, when they left it running for those 7 to 10 minutes, I go back to try and turn the car on, and it has completely sucked all the fuel out of the car. All the fuel out of the car won't start. The car was officially out of gas. So back to my original point, the fuel consumption can get a little dicey in this car. Like I said before, if you want to get all 707 bald eagles spitting out the back of these tailpipes, and you want to hit this lovely little tempting SRT button down here on the center console, you want to put it into sport mode or into track mode or into some custom rubber burning mode or something like that, you stomp on it, I'll tell you what, you can, it's actually pretty funny, you can look down, obviously while keeping your eyes on the road, you can look down and you can see your gas meter start to slowly go down. Obviously, once the car is back at a normal, running pace, and you're not like, racing, or you're not on the track, or you're not, you know, just showing somebody the sheer power of a Hellcat, eventually the meter will start to go back up. But it is pretty comical when you step on it at full throttle to watch that gas meter just slowly go down. I forget what they said when the Hellcats first came out, but it was like, I don't know, I don't want to give you guys the bad information, but I think it was like, it was in a pretty goofy amount of time that the press testers had this on the track. And I think I want to say it wasn't even an hour of just riding a Hellcat hard that it drained the entire tank of gas. So that's pretty funny, but that's also pretty American. All right, so number 4 on the list of the 5 worst things about a Charger Hellcat. Now listen to me carefully. Number 4 on that list is transmission. But again, I call back to my last video about the 5 things I love about the Charger Hellcat. I love this transmission. This is only a quirk on the transmission, and I'm sure a lot of Hellcat owners have experienced the same thing in this case. Now, when I say transmission, I only mean when the car goes through its auto downshifts, not when you're riding it hard, actually, but when you're just daily driving it like I am now, or going out to do this video for you guys like I am now. It's just a very odd feeling that you get when the car, it's hard to explain. The best way I can say is that you can feel the car downshift a little heavier than you do when it upshifts, and only when you're coming to a very slow creeping stop. So, you know, I'm coming up to a yellow light, let's say, and I start hitting the brakes, and I'm in eco mode as I do when I daily drive it. And I start, you know, just feathering the brake a little bit, just getting ready for that stop, because I know I'm not going to be able to make it if I still hammered it at that point. Anyway, I'm getting off the topic. Like I said, if you come into a slow stop, my wife has even noticed it as well. You can feel a very heavy jerk when the car tries to go into its downshifts in a more economical setting, should I say. That's not to say there's anything bad about this transmission at all. I really like this Torque Flight 8-speed, but that is its only quirk, I would say, is that when you're just coming to a calm and, you know, relaxed stop, especially when you're like at the point of stopping, you can feel, because what I think happens is I don't keep it in the setting where the manual shows me what gear it's in, but I think at some points, if you're not stopped for a long time, the car would try and keep itself in second gear to, you know, stop a little bit of that fuel consumption that we just mentioned in number 5 of this list. But when you're coming to, like I said before, when you're coming to almost a full stop, there is that one last downshift on the gear that you can feel. And like the first time I felt it, the first 2 or 3 times I felt it, I thought there was something wrong with the car, honestly. But it just turns out it's just one of those things with the automatic, with these new automatic systems. It's been a while since I've been in a car with like a newer quote-unquote automatic system. My first car was a hand-me-down, and it was a 2002, and it was automatic. And I mean, I've driven that car pretty much from high school all the way up to buying my Challenger Scat Pack. So I was used to, you know, a lot older generation of automatic systems. So these new ones, you know, obviously it could just be me getting used to it. It could just be one of those quirks of the automatic system. Whatever it is, that's why that makes number 4 on my list of the top 5 worst things about a Charger Hellcat. Moving on to number 3 on my list of the 5 worst things about a Charger Hellcat. For me, that definitely has to be the brakes. Now, before everybody gets up in arms about me saying it's the brakes, it has nothing to do with the brake performance. It has nothing to do with, you know, the make of the brakes, should you say. Haha, I did a little rap for you there, the make of the brakes. It has nothing to do with any of those things. It has to do with, and I know that this is a common thing for Hellcat owners and pretty much anybody with a Mopar who's got some iteration of the 6-piston and even 4-piston Brembos on their car. The problem here with the brakes is the inordinate amount of brake dust and just the terrible noise under braking that these Brembos make. Honestly, the good thing is that I love these new 5-spoke style SRT wheels. Thank God that Dodge decided to put those wheels on this car, because when I had my Challenger Scat Pack and it had, you know, the general Scat Pack wheels that everybody's used to now, I'll tell you what, trying to keep those brakes, or not even those brakes, trying to keep those brake calipers, trying to keep those wheels, the wheel wells, trying to keep everything on there clean was such a hassle, because, you know, you couldn't get in between unless you had like a wheel woolly, which I did have. But it was so hard to get in there, and that brake dust was just so heavy because of those Brembos. I know it's the bane of existence of a lot of pretty much Scat Pack, probably RT as well. Well, we'll do Scat Pack. Scat Pack all the way up to Hellcat owners. It's probably the bane of their existence when it comes to cleaning and maintaining a clean car. For me, I'll do another shameless plug again. You've already seen me wash the car in a previous video. If you haven't, please go and check that out and give it a thumbs up. But you guys already saw the difference between a clean SRT wheel, like a scrubbed SRT wheel, and an untouched SRT wheel. And you guys even saw the runoff just by spraying the wheel itself. Like, it is, like, the driveway turns black just rinsing these things down. It's a little disgusting, but I tell you what, I know that's a lot of people, that's one of their first mods, quote unquote, is that they definitely change out the brake pads. And I know I've been looking into a couple of different brake pad companies, and once I finally make a decision, you guys can rest assured that we will have a review on it, and I'm going to show you guys the entire process. We're going to go through what's different and what's good and what's bad about that. Alright, climbing its way to number 2 on my list of the 5 worst things about a Dodge Charger Hellcat. For me, it's got to be, how would you say, the lack of driver orientation. Now let me explain that for you real quick. If you guys go, if you haven't looked, which I don't know what rock you're living under, if you haven't looked at the interior of pretty much once they started the new iterations of Challengers all the way up to now, obviously I get it. It's a coupe versus a 4-door, but there was one aspect about the Challenger that I loved to the most high, and I also miss it a lot too, was just how pretty much pivoted the center console and all of the controls were to the driver themselves, the driver, him or herself, basically. That's what I really liked it. It gave it a little bit of a personal touch. It was just something to me that, like, you know, made the car feel a little bit extra special. Now, granted, the Charger is obviously used more for legroom and more for space for more passengers. Obviously, it's not a coupe anymore. But especially if you've got like something as special as an SRT or, you know, a Hellcat, where, like, you know, you get all those little extra goodies and stuff when it comes to purchasing the car, like, you know, your Bond Around Racing School ticket and all that stuff. You know, if you're getting something and you're spending that kind of money for something that special, I don't think the Challenger should really be the only car in Dodge's lineup that makes it, you know, a little bit more personalized for you. Obviously, you can get the car personalized, and obviously you can have the car, you know, you can have your window sticker, you know, it was specially made for such and such when you order from the factory. You know, when it comes to the demons, you know, you get your personalized VIN number and all that stuff, but that's way above a lot of our paychecks, let's just be honest with each other. But, you know, when it comes to something like this, like, you know, like if it's an SRT 392 or if it's an SRT Hellcat or something like that, you know, I think Dodge just could have put in a little bit of the extra effort to make it just a little bit more personalized for the driver. Again, this is just, that one's just a big nitpicky opinion on my end, honestly. That's how I feel. You know, when you had the Challengers and everything from pretty much the end of the last center console air vent was pretty much pulled out of the car and pivoted towards the driver. It was like, you know, it was really jet fighter, like really cockpit. You know, it was just, like I said, it was really something special that I personally loved about the car, and something that I wish that Dodge could have transferred into their Chargers. Again, I know it's meant to be a bigger car. I know it's meant to be more economical and more spacious. But if that's your primary car, you are still the pilot of, you know, this awesome machine. So I feel like it could have just made it a little bit more pilot-centric, so to say. But again, that's just my opinion. That's why it's number 2 on my list of the 5 worst things about a Charger Hellcat. And so here we are again. We finally made it to number 1 on the list of top 5 things that I hate about a Dodge Charger Hellcat. While that is not number 1, but without further ado, the number 1 thing that I hate about a Dodge Charger Hellcat is... Alright, now see, the plot thickens. Obviously, a lot of you are just wondering why the hell I just recycled a clip of a little tiny little smoke show that I did from the 5 things that I love about a Charger Hellcat. Well, as Clarkson had helped me define in that portion of the number 1, the number 1 for the things that I love about it was the power. Just the pure, unadulterated power. But now when it comes to the number 1 thing that I hate, excuse me, about a Charger Hellcat, that's the traction. Now obviously the traction was off in that video, so the whole point was to not gain traction, was to give you guys a little smoke show, give you guys a little something, make it a little white Christmas, if you will, from the back of this Hellcat ripping just 707 bald eagles. But same problem that I had in my Challenger Scat Pack is again the same problem that I continue to have in my Charger Hellcat. The 275, while the Pirelli P0s are worlds better than the Michelin supercar tires were on my Scat Pack, while they are worlds better and they are very grippy tires and they are very sticky, the fact of the matter remains that the size of the wheel and the width of the tire will never, at least from the factory, will never be enough to help this car put down traction. If you guys remember when I had my Challenger Scat Pack, we had those skinny little 245s on the front and the back of my car. Now, that was one of the first things I had to get rid of. Immediately I got 275s in the front, got wider wheels in the back, and got 315s on the back. Now that made a world of difference in the world of traction, if so to say, for my Scat Pack. Now, the dilemma that I'm having now is that I love these wheels. I love these wheels so much on the Hellcats, and the only factory replicas that I can find are of the older style SRT wheels from pretty much 16 to 15, and demon replicas, which my car's not a demon, it's not trying to be a demon. I like these wheels. I really like these wheels, and to be totally honest with you, I don't want to get rid of them, and I'm probably not going to get rid of them. But this is where we come to a crossroads. Basically, the safest that I can fit, on this stock wheel is about a 295. That's about the farthest it's recommended to go. Now, do people squeeze 305s and 315s on them? Of course they do. Is that safe? It's a little bit different. Do I want to do that? Not really. You see it keeps going down. Yes, kind of. No. Do I want to do that? No, I don't want to do it. I don't want to squeeze a 305 or a 315 onto this stock wheel because, again, I'm trying to look out for the longevity of this car, and that's just not something that I'm willing to do. I'm not going to take that risk. So, to sum it up, my crossroads are, can't get traction, but I love these wheels, but I can only go up basically kind of a minuscule size, which in the end I'm probably going to do regardless. But will it give me traction? Probably not. Yeah, probably not at all. It'll probably be, oh, that was kind of a nice car. It'll probably be a little bit of a step up, but a very little step up. Very, very little step up. I don't see where 295, I'll probably keep 275s in the front, but I don't see where a 295 in the back for me would do too much. Now, before I'm totally downplaying the lack of traction in this car, obviously that lack of traction can become fun at points in time. Like I said before, I have a lot better performance out of these 275 Pirellis, obviously, than I did out of my 245 Michelins on my Challenger Scat Pack. I can feel a world of difference just coming from those two different worlds. But same thing as a lot of owners will experience when it comes to the rain. You're gonna want to like gingerly feather the throttle if you're trying to get out of somewhere in the rain. And God forbid if I got to get out of the way of something crazy happening in the wet or in, you know, a damp condition or something like that, I'm not really gonna move out of the way. More or less, my tail is just gonna move out of the way because I'm gonna keep going fishtailing back and forth. That's what's gonna happen to me. But when it comes to traction, that is the #1 thing that I definitely, and I'm sure a lot of other owners and a lot of you other guys hate about a Hellcat, be it a Charger or a Challenger. That's definitely something to hate about this car. Obviously, we've all heard the complaints. You know, Dodge knows what they're making from the factory. Dodge should have been able to outfit this with, you know, a better setup and blah, blah, blah. But obviously, Dodge is rectifying that a little bit now. They've, you know, given you guys the demons with, you know, their barely street legal 315 drag radials. They're currently giving everybody the 1320 drag packs, which give you guys the drag radials again. So they're fixing the grip problems, sort of. But yet, when it comes to the Chargers, obviously we're expecting something to happen with the Chargers for a big announcement coming soon for the Chargers. So I'm pretty excited to see what that is. But right now for the Chargers, they haven't really done too much of a revamping like they have with the Challengers. Now you have wide body scat packs and red eye Hellcats, and you have your Demons and your 1320s and all this stuff. But I'm pretty confident that the Charger's going to get its day to shine, and that's probably coming very soon in the month of August. But there you guys have it. There is my official list of the 5 worst things, or the 5 things that I hate about a Dodge Charger Hellcat. Remember, once again, if you guys like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to, leave a comment. I love responding back to you guys. And of course, please browse and subscribe the rest of my playlist and the rest of my videos that I have for you guys. Follow Hellish Banshee on Instagram and keep up with the build there. I'm pretty much primarily between there and YouTube. I don't post really anywhere else, maybe some Snapchat here and there, but I don't really post anywhere else about the Hellcat besides on my Instagram. My Instagram first and foremost, and then when it comes to giving you guys the visuals and the movies and all that stuff, I give them to you right here every weekend on the Team Scat Cat channel. But with that, this video is now officially over. Hope everybody is enjoying their weekend. Please remember to stay safe, and as always, take care, YouTube. We'll see you guys in the next video.